Hi, welcome to Garden Spot Acres Kitchen. Today I want to show you how to turn this green tomato into something delicious. Green tomato mincemeat. This is something you can have in your pantry through the winter. Make a pie, make some cookies, put it on some ice cream. I have done 5-quart jars of mincemeat. Let me take you back to this morning and I'll show you the whole process. Well, the first step in making anything is to have in place what you need. I have washed my green tomatoes, the apples are washed, and I'm going to need to zest some lemon also. My knife, my cutting board, and a bench scraper will be the means to quickly transfer things into the bowl. So I need to get ready 4 quarts of chopped tomatoes. So I'm just going to cut off the top. That goes into my scrap bowl. Take some quick slices, and I'll show you about what size. The original recipe for this called for finely chopped tomatoes, but I like a little bit of chunk. So I'm going to chop those up and show you just kind of the size I'm looking for. About 1/2 inch chunks. All right, so that's how that will be prepped. I'll put those aside for now. For the apples, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put them top side down, slice. Once I have the flat bottom, turn it over onto the side. This makes it a lot safer for cutting. And I'm just going to keep turning until I have nothing but the core left. That goes into the scrap bowl. And again, these I want to cut into about 1/2 inch chunks. So normally I would just stack these up and go through it, but let me just show you one slice here. All right, so you can see the size pieces I'm looking for. And it's up to you if you want to keep the skins on or take the skins off. You can do it either way. I'm going to leave the skins on. All right, put those aside. And then let's see, I need 4 cups of the apple. For the lemon zest, I need 4 tablespoons. So I do have a rasp that I've used, but I find that a zester is a little bit better. And I kind of want bigger pieces of this too. So I don't know if you've ever seen one of these tools, but these are very handy. Here we go. Just gonna press that right into the zest, into the lemon I mean, and we get strips of zest. Work my way around. I'm going to need lemon juice later on also, so I'm going to keep these lemons and I will be juicing them. I probably will have to add some bottled juice also. Alright, so here we have the lemon zest, and that can go right in to the mix, or if you want to chop them up a little bit finer, you could do that too. Alright, I'm going to spend a couple minutes taking care of the tomatoes, getting them ready, getting the apples ready, zesting my lemon. I'll be back with you in a few minutes. For you, it'll be just a snap. All right, I think it's been more than a few minutes, but I have all my ingredients ready to go. My island is cleaned up. Let's take a look at what goes in the pot. All right, I have half of my tomatoes already in. That's 2 quarts. Another 2 quarts ready to go. 4 cups of apples chopped up. In addition, I need a 1/2 cup of vinegar. There's my 4 tablespoons of lemon zest. I need 1 cup of lemon juice. I need 2 cups of water. I'm going to be adding 1 pound of dark raisins, 1 pound of golden raisins, and 2.5 cups of white sugar, 2.5 cups of brown sugar. And for the seasoning, we have here 2 tablespoons of ground cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of ground cloves, and there is also in there 1 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. So here we go. Everything goes into the pool. I'm going to get this all on the stove and do a little cleanup and start setting up to do the canning. So let's get everything in the pot. This actually is going to simmer for about 50 minutes, 40 to 50. I'm going to need to stir it oh, probably every 15 minutes. I hope my pot's big enough. Doesn't look like it, does it? It'll cook down, fortunately. Okay, here we go. Lemon zest. Vinegar. I'll put my seasonings in now. Lemon juice. 2 cups of water. All right, at this point, you can see my kettle is pretty full. I'm going to get this on to cook. Once it cooks down a little bit, I'll add the rest of my ingredients. All right, I'll be back with you in just a bit. Well, it's only been a few minutes, and my tomatoes and apples have already cooked down enough that I can add in the rest of my ingredients. So in go the golden raisins. I'm going to add in the dark raisins. Brown sugar. And the last thing to go into the pot is the white sugar. All right, so I'm going to give this a good stir, get it back on that hot burner, and I'm going to let this cook for, about 15 minutes. I'm going to come back and stir it again. Every 15 minutes I'll check. By about 45 minutes it should be ready to go into the canning jars. My green tomato mincemeat has been cooking for about 30 minutes. The apples are tender. The tomatoes need just a little bit more. I think another 15 minutes will do. In the meantime, since I'm getting close to the end cook time, first I want to give this a taste. I have some cooling off here. Take a look at that. That is really good. That is Thanksgiving and Christmas all rolled up in one. Makes me want to put up my Christmas tree here in the middle of September. All right, I'm going to let that cook. Show you some of the other things that I have ready to go for canning. I made a purchase this spring. I bought this Ball Fresh Tech electric water bath canner, and I have used it about a half a dozen times now, and I absolutely love it. Let me show you how it works. I have some jugs of water, hot water, out of the faucet, and I'm going to put them into the canner. And you can see in there is a water spout. Let me show you from the outside. When I'm all done canning, I can open that spout and drain that canning water right into the sink. Easy cleanup. All right, so I have a little bit of water in there. I'm going to start with about 5 quarts of water, and I want to heat that up. So I'm going to put it on high according to manufacturer's directions. And I want to put the bottom rack in there. That's an important part of the canning process. You want to keep your jars off the bottom of the pot. Okay, I'm going to put the lid on there. Let that heat up. That will not be boiling when I put the jars in. When I have all the jars in, I'll be switching that from high up to the canning setting. And within a few minutes, it will be boiling, and then I will start my processing time. These jars will take about 15 minutes. Okay, over here, ready to go. I have a funnel. This is the jar lifter, so I don't have to worry about burning myself, transferring jars from in and out of the canner. I have the jar lifter, or the jar lid lifter, in a kettle on the stove and a little pot. I have the jar lids. So this, again, keeps me from getting myself burned when I need to lift those out. All right, so I'm going to turn those on, get those cooking. They need to be at a slow boil for about 5 minutes. My mincemeat's going to cook down for another 10-15 minutes. And when everything is ready to go, everything is heated up, I'll be back with you and show you how to finish up this process. Alright, my jar lids are heated up. I have my mincemeat here ready to go. The jars I had in the oven at 200 degrees, they need to be warm. You want to keep in mind you want everything very warm. The hot mixture of mincemeat goes into hot jars and then into hot water in the canner. Alright, so even though this contains tomatoes, what is recommended now that no matter what you can to add citric acid. So this does have lemon juice, it does have vinegar in it, but just to be on the safe side, add in the citric acid. So for a quart jar, you're adding a ½ teaspoon. And it doesn't do anything to the flavor, just a safety precaution. All right, here we go. I'm gonna fill this to about a ½ inch from the top of the jar. I prefer to use a ladle. You could use a glass measuring cup and pour it in, but I tend to make more of a mess that way. So here we go, fill up that jar. And here my canner, it's ready to go, ready for the jars to be put in. And this looks a little soupy right now, but it's going to thicken up once the jars come out of the canner and everything cools off. Alright, I can tell pretty close to what's a ½ inch by how much is in my funnel. Alright, so put that aside. It's also another important step for canning is to make sure air bubbles are out of your jars. So you just want to run a knife along the edge of your jars, down the sides, and force the air bubbles out. Okay, I have about a ½ inch headspace in my jar. I have just a wet paper towel. I've got to clean off the rim of that jar. I'm going to grab a ring, take out one of my lids. Of course, they stuck together there. Here we go. Top that, put on the lid. Be careful, this is hot, but you want to just make this finger tight. Okay, and that one's ready to go in the canner. On to the second jar. Well, let me move this one out of the way. All right, jar number 2. I'm probably going to have liquid left over. That's okay. It may be too when you open the jars, it's still a little liquidy if you're going to make a pie. Just do the same thing you would do if you were making a fresh fruit pie. Add a little flour and it will thicken up as it bakes. Alright, jar number 2. Move that off. See, I made a mess. Okay, get rid of the air bubbles all the way around, all the way to the bottom. Just run it down the side of the jar. Okay, headspace looks good there. And you saw me make a mess. Gotta wipe off this rim, definitely. Okay, we need another lid. We need another ring. Tighten it, just finger tight. Well, I have filled the last jar I can fill. I'm ending up with 5 quarts of green tomato mincemeat. And you might ask, why go through all this trouble? Well, first of all, it's delicious. I had a lot of green tomatoes in my garden I needed to do something with. And Chuck and I were in a store the other day and we saw a jar of mincemeat for $8.99 for it was probably a 28-ounce jar. And that's just ridiculous. So I can save money. I can eat the produce from my garden. And there's something satisfying also, a sense of accomplishment. Okay, now let me show you inside the canner. And you can see that the water level needs to be brought up. I need to have about 1 inch of water above the jars. So I'm going to fill up with another jug. Remember, I don't start timing this until the canner comes to a boil. Okay, that brings me almost up to what I need. Let me get a little more water. Now this canner also comes with a diffuser. Now it looks like that. This simply goes on top of the jars. It helps to keep the heat even, and it also helps keep the jars steady in the canner. All right, so I'm going to add just a little bit more water in there, and we're good to go. It has been 15 minutes, and my canner time is done, so I'm going to turn this off. And be careful, I'm lifting that lid off. Okay, and I need to take out the diffuser. So I'm going to use just something long and pointy, lift that out. Let it drain off and move it out of the way. Okay, it's time to transfer the cans. Transfer the jars. Here we go. First one. I'm going to tip it over a little bit, remove some of that water off the lid. There we go. First jar of mincemeat. Remember, I did 5 quarts. Used up green tomatoes. Making something delicious. These will need to sit right there where I am leaving them for 12 to 24 hours. They cannot be moved for that length of time. All right, there we go. Jar number 5. Okay, and here you can see I had some left over. This is thickening even in this little bit of time that it's been sitting out for 15 minutes or 20 minutes or so. Chuck already had a sample of it. He likes it. And of course, if there were more in this bowl, he'd want me to make him a pie today. But that's not happening. All right, green tomato, mincemeat, ready to go for whatever purpose you would have. Make a pie, make filled cookies, put it on ice cream, whatever you want to do with it. It is really good. All right, if you like this recipe, if you liked what you saw, hear that pop? That's the sound of success. My jars are sealing already. If you like this video, like the recipe, give me a thumbs up, give me a like, share, let your friends know about our channel, Garden Spot Acres. We would certainly appreciate it.